Mobile gaming has changed drastically throughout the past couple of years. A lot of people will say that the most drastic change was the change from premium games to freemium games. While that has certainly affected mobile gaming throughout its core, you cannot find any premium games that are worthwhile anymore, in my opinion. While that is true, I think the most important change that has happened over the past couple of years is the amount of control that developers give us over the games. So I'll be using Asphalt 9 in this video as the most prominent example. However, I want to hear your thoughts, of course, in the comments section. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know what you guys think on this topic. Do you really think games are taking away control from the players? Do you really think that we should have the control over how much we play games and what we can unlock in games? Let me know, of course, in the comment section down below. I'm going to be using Asphalt 9 as the best example in this video. It is the most recent example, and in my opinion, it ticks all the boxes of how games these days, more specifically mobile games, how they are taking away control from us, and we no longer have control over how we actually play our video games. So first of all, I want to talk about the fuel system. I think this is the most obvious example of crossing the line when it comes to taking away control from players. It comes to a point where you can't control how much you play with a certain car or how many times you can play a race. For example, my Porsche 918 Spider only has 4 races before I have to wait 3 hours and 40 minutes. Now, I can't change that. I can pay to change that, but I can't actually change the rate at which I can wait for fuel to refill. I can't change the amount of races that I have. And ultimately, if not enough people come together to protest this change, they won't change this at all. And some people even think this is a good thing, which blows my mind. Some people are saying that they like how games are limiting their ability to play because they don't want to be playing video games all day. And while that does kind of make sense, I believe it is up to the players to determine how much they play their games, not the developers. So I think the fuel system in these mobile games is just crossing the line when it comes to controlling our decisions whether or not to play games. So the second system is the blueprint system and the whole card packs and loot boxes sort of thing. So the only way in this game to obtain a reasonable amount of blueprints to unlock cars is card packs. Now, there is a Legends shop, but the cars that show up in the Legends shop are completely random. You have no control over it. So I think that just kind of still falls in line with randomness and lack of control. Obviously, if you want to try and progress further in the game, you have to purchase card packs, and you don't have control over how much you get of a certain blueprint. You don't have control over the drop rate of certain rarities of blueprints. The game just takes away all control when it comes to progression. Now, the only control that you really have is just paying more money for card packs, and if you do that, it's not even like you're guaranteeing yourself progression because the blueprints you get are completely random. So this is another aspect of where the game is taking over your control. You don't even decide how fast you can progress in your games. The game decides how fast you can progress throughout your career, for example. Another thing that I'd like to talk about, and this is kind of a more complicated topic, but the game just treats you like a number. To Gameloft, you are a number, and that number is your car rank. So I'll give you guys a couple of scenarios. So the game determines the difficulty of races, or I'm going to put difficulty in quotations because it really isn't. The game determines whether or not you can win races or not using your rank of your car. Now, with each race, there is a recommended rank. Basically, if your car is above the recommended rank, you have a higher chance of completing that race in first place. If your car is below the recommended rank, you're pretty much screwed. So for example, if you look at a lot of gameplay on YouTube, and I'm not sure if this will be in my video because it's hard to get specific gameplay, but if you look at many other people's gameplay videos of Asphalt 9, especially if they play in career mode, you'll see that once they reach 80%, as long as their car is above the recommended rank, the AI will completely quit. So if you look at the minimap, once you reach 80% and you look at the vehicles behind you, they will completely stop. It is the most hilarious thing ever, and I have no idea why Gameloft hasn't, well, I wouldn't say fix this bug, because it's not a bug, but I don't know why they haven't tried to hide the fact that the success rate of finishing races is solely based off of a number, not you, but a number. So it is a bit ridiculous. If your car is under the recommended rank, you basically have no chance of winning the race, except for, yeah, if the AI completely messes up. So it's just ridiculous that the games these days are purely basing your success rate off a number. It's not determining whether or not you're good at the game. It's determining whether or not your car is, it has the numbers to win the race. And in my opinion, that just takes away so much from the racing experience, because when you race a car, you really want to have that immersion of being on a track and, controlling the car. But if you see that your success rate is based solely off a number, all that immersion is completely taken away, in my opinion. So the next thing I want to talk about is touch drive. Obviously, this takes away so much control over the player as to determine whether or not they steer left or right. Now, you have things where you can drift, or you can press the nitro button, or you can decide routes, but ultimately this takes away 95% of the user's control. Now, I'm happy that this is optional, but I'm unhappy because the entire game design is focused around this touch drive thing to appeal to mass audiences. So let me know your thoughts on touch drive, but in my opinion, it is such a detriment to how we play our games. So that's it for Asphalt 9. Now I want to touch on a couple other things in other games. The first thing is loot boxes. I mean, so much of progression in other games is based off loot boxes. Now, sometimes if loot boxes are based solely off cosmetic items, I'm completely okay with it, as long as it doesn't interfere with regular progression or statistics. I'm fine with it. But in games like Modern Combat Versus, for example, the amount of credits you get for upgrading your agents is solely based off of how much you get in loot boxes. And what is very prominent in mobile gaming these days are auto shooting. So even Fortnite has recently added auto shooting, and I was very surprised that they added that, because I know Epic Games are actually a really good developer, and they always choose skill over cheesy things. But I think that in a game like Fortnite, especially when crossplay is enabled, I think auto shoot is actually not that terrible of an idea. But in games like Modern Combat Versus, where it solely is mobile gaming versus mobile gaming, or mobile players versus mobile players, I think auto shooting is a bit stupid. And in fact, if you use touch to shoot, you actually have a bit of an advantage. But the point isn't that it's optional. The point is that it takes away control from you. You are no longer in control of how you play the games. And if you take anything away from this video, it's the fact that games are taking away your control. And I want you to recognize that, and I want you to understand that in 2018, you don't control how fast you play your games, you don't control how many times you play your games, and you don't control how fast you rank up and level up in your games. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will catch you guys in the next video.